Here's some great tips for writing. I'm going to go through them with you, and what I want you to do is I want you to go back over this video and I want you to take notes. Connect the concepts for the reader while you're writing. What I want you to do is I want you to craft an inviting introduction for your reader while you're writing. I want you to hook the reader. Try different patterns and arrangements. Once upon a time, that's a great introduction. It was a stormy night. Explore the topic in a logical sequence. Once upon a time, one day, one morning, one dewy afternoon. It was a dark and lonely night. Something like that to get the reader into your story. Guide the reader with careful details. From the Book Thief. The flag is a title. It's the beginning of a story in a chapter. The last time I saw her was red. The sky was like soup, boiling and stirring. In some places it was burned. There was black crumbs and pepper streaked across the redness. So, in other words, describe what the scene looks like to get the reader to want to read more. Follow through with a thoughtful conclusion. So that chapter actually ends by tying in that very beginning of what was read. So connect concepts for the reader. If you're going to start out with red, end with red or pink. Make music with your writing. And what I mean by that is flow with it. Use smooth phrasing. Let sentences sing. Vary sentence length and structures. Make the writing exciting to read aloud. For example, this time everything was too late. The sirens, the cuckoo shrieks in the radio, all too late. Please again, I ask you to believe me. I wanted to stop. To crouch down, I wanted to say, I'm sorry, child, but that is not allowed. I did not crouch down. I did not speak. Instead, I watched her a while she was able to move. I followed her. Very short, very succinct. They let the sentences speak for themselves. They don't have to be long and drawn out. They let the sentences do the speaking for themselves. Let the reader hear your voice. Anxious, encouraging, hearty, concerned, eloquent, off the beat, gentle, critical, courageous, festive, clever, modest, stern, distraught, profound, witty, introspective, mournful, subtle, tentative. These are all adjectives that describe a mood. They describe your voice. These are all adjectives that you can use that describe your character and the voice that you want to project onto paper. So when you want to project your character, let your reader know that. Use adjectives that describe your character. One of the most important parts about writing is narrowing your topic. You have to stick to what you're going to write about and don't go off on a tangent. Narrow your topic. Start with the solar system. Narrow it by what's in the solar system. Planets, the sun, the moons, they're all in our solar system, but stick with the planets. Narrow it by which planet is the most interesting. There's 8 planets, 9 planets, 7 planets, I don't know. This one picks Saturn. So narrow it by what's unusual about Saturn. Well, Saturn has the 6th planet from the sun, it has rings and it has moons. So what's most unusual? It's the rings. So Saturn's rings is the topic. You see how it took this about the planets and it got it all the way down to what? The rings about Saturn. So it's taking it from here and it's bringing it to here. So narrow your topic. And I'm going to get to that when we talk about persuasive writing. You want to take a big topic and you want to get it to here. So when you're asking that question, well, what's so important about this? Why? You want to get it to here. So if you start with this, you want to get it to here. So your topic sentence would be, Saturn's spectacular rings are actually pieces of ice and rock. So if you start with the solar system, you narrow it by saying it's a planet. You narrow it by saying which planet's the most interesting. Saturn. I would say Jupiter because it's got a big red eye. And then we could go, what's interesting about the red eye? And then, see, that's how you get it right into focusing on what's important. So you could take the same, compare and contrast. You could take Saturn, you could take Jupiter. You could say rings, you could say circle. You could say ice and rock. You could say, I don't know what the red circle's made out of. Dust and red clay. So that's what you could narrow your topic to. I do good for winging it, don't I? Ask Miss McGee what the red circle's made out of. She'll know. Develop a proofreader's eye. I can look right at something and say, nope, that's wrong. Look for correct spelling and capitalization. Dot the I, cross the T. Indentation of paragraphs. Make sure that you always go in at a new paragraph. New paragraph, go in. Go in 5 spaces. Count them 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In. Subject and verb agreement. We'll talk about that. Appropriate punctuation. Period. Exclamation point. Question mark. Comma. Come on, you gotta know what that means. Look for it. It's gotta be there. Capital letter. Beginning sentence. I. Big I. Little I. You don't use a little I unless it's in the middle of a sentence. Read it. Peer editing. That's what this is for. Peer editing. You give it to someone else. I'm done. You're never done writing. You're just finished because the bell rang. Remember that. I'm making a sign for that too. Use strong verbs. Strong verbs. Appeal to all the senses. Keep the audience in mind. You want them to be excited when they're reading it. And what's a verb? Paint a picture with the verb. Paint a picture. Perpetuate, affirm, consider. Verb. Words that describe action. Negotiate, investigate, glorify, eradicate, visualize, persist, substantiate, witness, orchestrate, link, underscore, scribble, astonish, foretell, justify, accuse, urge, decipher, illuminate. I could go on and on and on. You have computers, use them. Verbs, strong. Be good writers. Make me proud. Make your writing look good. You know how my stuff looks good? I take time to make it pretty. You don't make it pretty while you're doing it, Jordan. You wait until it's done. And then you edit. And then you proofread. And then you make the font pretty. You write, make it dirty, make it filthy, and then you make it pretty at the very end. And that's when you call me and you say, Mrs. Ross, I'm ready. I'm ready to help you make it look pretty. Help me with the font, make it pretty. That's after you've proofread it. That's after you've had it peer edited. That's after you've proofread it again. That's after you've had your final peer edit. And that's after you've read it out loud at least 3 times. Why do you read it out loud? Well, that's where you see your mistake. Because when you read it out loud, you go, oh, that doesn't sound right. That's when you read it to somebody and they go, that doesn't sound right. And then you're able to circle it, read it through again, and then go back and make your corrections. So, make your writing look good. Notice how the writing looks on the page. If the paper was typed on a computer, is the font easy to read? This is the font. The font is the letter type. Is the font appropriate for the subject matter and the audience? You don't want Comic Sans when you're talking about the Holocaust. No, Comic Sans is funny. Holocaust, not funny. If the paper is handwritten, is the handwriting legible and slanted in the same direction? Some of you, I don't want you to handwrite your papers. I want you to write them on the computer. Mark. Look at the writing space. Is it adequate space between the words? Double space, single space, 1.5 space? We'll talk about that. There's certain formats. I'll have Miss Grubbs in the library go over what kind of format I want you to have. Evaluate the placement of necessary elements. What are elements, Mrs. Ross? Well, let me tell you. Good question. Is the title, is it centered? Are the name and the date present? Where do I want your name and date? Upper right-hand corner. Or blank page right in the center, a title page. That would be an element. These are air quotes, by the way. Does a piece of writing need subheads or bullet points? These are bullet points. These are subheadings. Do visual elements such as charts or graphs help the reader understand the text? You're not going to need those with what we're talking about, but these are very nice charts. They're very nice and clean. That's why I like them. The bullets. This is a little messy for me, but so these are great tips for writing. I'm going to keep this video up all year. You can go back to it. Keep it in mind as you're writing, and use the computer. Really use it. Google. If you need help while you're writing, Google how to write a persuasive essay, how to write an informative essay, how to write XYZ. I'm actually going to tell you how to do that when we talk about persuasive essays. Okay? Thanks.